Check, check. Check, check. Okay, hello. Hello, Kalinas and John Bear. Thanks for coming, and thanks for checking the sound. Let's get the screen down here. How's everyone doing? Thanks to the three of you for showing up right at the beginning. Bitrate's looking a little mediocre. Hopefully that stops. Whoops. The first thing we need to do before we get any painting done is just refresh the wet palette a little. I got fresh water in the cup here. The paper was looking to see, starting to get a little wrinkly around the gray because like, there's a lot of paint around it. The paper's getting a little haggard, but I need this paper to stay intact until the end of the project so I can get a good palette shot, you know. Hello, Neon Ashtray and Shabby. A hand-sized kit. Would that be a Gundam artifact, perhaps? I'm just kind of moistening the paper here. Let's use a different brush, actually. Let's just do a little bit. Okay, it looks like the bitrate's back to normal. Normally wouldn't recommend this for a wet palette, but you know, this project's just like been a long one. And I don't want the paper to get like super dried out and wrinkly before I can get a good palette shot. Just gonna dab up the biggest of the pools of water there. And just for good measure, let's just put a little bit water under there. I'm like basically done with the gray and black, but like I'll be using some at the very end to just tidy up any mistakes. I know there's at least one or two spots that'll need to be fixed, and you know there's bound to be a couple more, and then of course the edge of the base will get a quick rim of black, or a quick rimming of black, you could say. Yeah, if it stays a little wrinkly here on the black, it's not the end of the world. Also will serve as a good test for the Army Painter wet palette. This is the first, like, yeah, I guess the only project I've really used this wet palette on has been the Sazabi. It's just been like such a long ongoing project that I have been using this palette for a while. So thankfully it came with an extra hydration unit, or hydration pack, aka sponge. The one for this one's a little unique compared to the other wet palettes I've used. So this one is like, we'll see what the condition of the sponge is after this one. Hopefully it doesn't have some cursed mold hidden at the bottom or anything. I've like rinsed it out a couple times. Maybe I'll do that one more time tonight after the stream. Either way, it's looking nice and colorful now. For a while it was boring and just kind of gray. Hello, Andy. Thanks for coming. Now let's just arrange everything for painting, and then I'll get the Sazabi. I mean. I've just got some paper towels I arrange off to the side here because there's like a little splash zone when I'm swishing the water around. So put that there. It's covered up nicely by my overlay. I was using this for a lot of the purples so far, and can see the synthetic bristles are starting to get purple stained. Surprise, surprise. Hello, Shrekus McChekus. The Justice Mobile Suits. And Neo Roanoake Wyndham color scheme. You're saying the Sazabi I'm working on has that color scheme? I'm not familiar with that name, but when you say Justice Mobile Suits, I'm assuming you mean like the Infinite Justice, that pink one. Yeah, I guess the Sazabi does have a pretty close color scheme to that. Alright, gotta get the air blower ready. And I'll grab the Sazabi. I'm going to be working on the body for some of the stream, and then I'll be working on the individual parts after. One moment, I will go grab it. Oh, and I need to turn my timer on. I was tracking the painting time earlier. I didn't get much painting done since the last stream, unfortunately. Some things came up, as they usually do. But I still got some progress done today. There still is a chance of finishing it by... I wanted to finish it by next Monday, but we'll see. Either way, I've been enjoying the purple glazing, as I knew I would. It's purple glazing. You can see this here is just like the splotch of pink for like mapping out the gradient, and then this is kind of what it looks like when it's done. It still needs the edge highlighting, and the high end here could use a little bit of blending. Haven't decided what I'm going to do there. I had to fix a bit of a mistake here and go over it, so that could use a bit of work. But mostly what I worked on this afternoon was the feet, because, you know, they're covered, or they're like shaded by the bell bottoms pretty heavily, so I'm only like this part has a much stronger gradient than like in here, and likewise on the other foot. And then some of the parts that are like way deep in there that are purple that you can barely see, it's like those are kind of like the most obscure spots are basically just like the base color of red violet. So I brain farted a bit there. So I think first part of the stream I'll be finishing up these feet areas and finishing up the areas I did last stream. I'll like start it and I'll tidy them up, and then I'll probably move on to painting some individual pieces. So yeah, I'll get the like awkward feet painting sections out of the way first. I say awkward because like when I'm doing the spots like in here and stuff, it'll be kind of tricky to show on camera. And also when you're looking at this angle, you can kind of like just kind of barely see some unpainted red plastic deep in there. That's like one of the downsides of not painting it in sub-assemblies and like the style I'm doing. But like if I hadn't pointed that out in the stream here and holding it this like very specific angle that's like not a proper viewing angle, no one would know. I just ruined it. I've got a little speck of something there. Let's just... okay. Not sure what that is. Good thing that part wasn't finished yet. Yeah, so... I'm just kind of looking at the gradient on the feet here. I think we still need to do just a little bit of glazing on the feet. Let's see what paint is left over on the palette. See if we can salvage. Not quite. Sup Bahamut and Dolfo, thanks for coming. Yes, it is another stream. This is the longest, the most parts in a single stream I've had before, I believe. This is part 8 of the Sazabi. Which makes sense because it's been a dedicated live streaming project. If I find a beard hair in the paint. I mean, my beard hairs are decently long. It'd be pretty hard for... I'd like to think I would be able to catch that. I'll do my best to not include any free beard hair. But I mean, it's impossible to like, with this kind of hand painting style, if you zoom in on the pictures of any of my other Model Mayhem style builds, like there's little specks of stuff to be found. But like, I find a really good exercise on social media actually is to go to like your favorite painters and builders and like zoom in on their builds, and a lot of the time you will find... This is advice I saw from Zaku Aurelius actually. So just like zoom in and remind yourself that, you know, not everyone's kits are flawless. I'm sure some people's are, But I mean, also on social media, you never know, like, if they're doing a bit of Photoshop or photo editing. It's really easy to, like, remove a little piece of dust. I don't really have anything against that, unless it's like if you're posting to Instagram, I mean, I don't think you should do it for stuff like competitions, obviously. Oh no, don't inhale the thinner, you need a respirator. It's funny, I did find I made curry tonight, and I made Japanese style curry, and I found a beard hair in the curry when I was eating it, but like it's my own beard hair because I was the one cooking, so can't exactly call the manager, you know? Yeah, we aren't joking when we say you shouldn't inhale the thinner, or just fumes in general. It's not a great time. Yeah, I guess to answer your original question, Dolfo, you can, if there's a beard hair in it, you can send it back, but I don't know if I'll pay for shipping for a single beard hair. I was talking about, like, accidentally painting beard hair into minis before with somebody, and he was like, I call those DNA vaults. I think we want the smaller brush, actually, for the, because we're at some pretty refined glazing at this stage. I just want to work on completely finishing the feet, and then I'll move on to the other parts I was talking about. Oh, your dad stole the N95. Yeah, I didn't think you would, Dolfo. Oh, was it Japanese style curry, Dolfo? I'm a fan of the other styles of curry too. There's a lot of different kinds of curry. Really, the world of curry is just great in general. Bahama, maybe it's time to invest in a respirator. The N95s are more for, like, I mean, I'm no expert, but I think those are more for, like, particles and stuff. I think for proper, like, fumes and stuff. I know Gunpla painters say you should have a respirator if you're using, like, lacquer paints with lots of fumes. Yeah, I always have to plan ahead and make sure the weather's appropriate when I'm painting with lacquers. Because, you know, the palette depends on how long I'm painting in the room, but yeah, then there's the drying time to consider. Okay, so Indian curry, nice. And it was your first time. Well, congratulations. Yeah, I mean, N95s will block, like, paint particles that are in the air, but not really the fumes, as far as I know. Okay, well, we'll start at the dark end of the gradient. I'm not seeing much that needs work here, really. Yeah, like this part here. This is a really tricky part to get to, actually. Yeah, I guess we could use just a little bit here. It doesn't need much of a gradient. It's a pretty, like, minor area that has a lot of shadow going on. Maybe I'll actually go all the way into the middle there. And like this part on the back, the heel, I guess. It's also kind of tricky. But it's also very shadowed, so doesn't really need much gradient. Yeah, I don't know what's in the tester's Model Master hand paints. Yep, it's a good idea for a Christmas present. It'll be easy to convince your parents or whoever's buying you the gift to be like, please, I need it for my safety. I'm guessing those Model Master, Tester's Model Master paints, I want to say those are enamels. I don't know, but you know, get the painting done you need to do in a reasonable amount of time, and then let them dry somewhere where the fumes won't bother anybody, is what I'd say. When in doubt, use a respirator, though. Even I use it sometimes when I'm doing acrylics, even. It's more so when if I'm like going to be using some varnish. It's like I have the respirator there, I might as well wear it just for a bit of discomfort. Sorry, this area is kind of hard to show on camera. Now you can all witness the disadvantage of my Model Mayhem painting style. This would be easier if it was in more sub-assemblies. Alright, that's all that foot really needs. This blend, that one looks good enough, how it is. Yeah, Mom. Yeah, sometimes you gotta deal with those slim pickings and practice the hobby frugally in order to get anything done. I can relate. Yeah, I feel like I've definitely seen people hand paint with testers without a respirator before, but don't quote me on that. I don't think Fiverr's here. Maybe I'll just say this again if they do show up, but I started part 6 of JoJo last night, Stone Ocean. Another Zaku 2. Then you could have 2 custom Zakus. 2 custom Zaku 2s. And yeah, like these parts way deep in here. Okay, I see one part that needs to be darkened down a little bit, but in terms of glazing, they're not really getting anything else. I mean, having to play COD with the wife, that doesn't sound too bad. It is playing some video games with the wife after all. Yeah, that's very true, Bahamut. I mean, it's something I've seen come up in conversation before. It seems like there's only two kinds of hobbyists: one with the money to buy whatever they want but no time, and one with a lot of free time that wants to get more into the hobby but doesn't have enough money to get the tools they want. Yeah, that's true, Kalinas, but when I was handling this to paint the base coats, when it wasn't attached to the base, it was pretty unwieldy and a little wobbly, so in terms of like getting this specific kind of like glazing done, it is easier. Despite these parts down here being hard to get to, it is easier when it's on the base for me, because I can just like lean the base against the desk and hold it with one hand like this instead of like awkwardly grab the whole thing and also support the legs, because there is like a little bit of movement to it. So I willingly sacrifice the comfort of painting those hard to reach areas by putting it on the base in order to get like a more stable platform to paint on, I guess. Oh, and if anyone's wondering about burps, I decided when I'm done painting on this and I move on to the other sections, I'll run and grab a Coke, and I'll have my conch in the like later part of the stream, so there will be burps coming if anyone was worried about that. Well, all in due time, Bahamut. Everyone has their own path in life to take. Okay, let's just take a look at these areas of the gradient that have dried. Yeah, like this area, I'm kind of happy with how it looks. Yeah, I guess there are a few areas that still need work, gradient-wise anyways. Kind of in the middle-ish areas. Need to thin that a bit though. Are you all still enjoying the purple Sazabi, or are you ready for me to stream something else yet after 8 parts of this? Hobby Lobby and Target. There used to be Target in Canada, but not anymore. That sounds like some good office organization there, Dolfo. I like those kinds of activities. That was what was so nice about the Frontier Wargaming sponsorship. I'm like, ooh, I gotta rearrange my desk. Love that. Kalinas, that's too bad. I guess you'll have to check out the online options. Maybe you can find one that isn't too far away. If the target's gone. Good one. Yeah, I mean, like, Canada is very similar to America, so we have a lot of other very similar big box stores that are also in America. Like, we got plenty of good old Walmarts here. I mean, I'll make a attempt to make a proper call on it at the end of this stream, but after this stream there'll probably just be one more. This will either be the last stream or there'll be one more stream after this. I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow or like Monday. We'll see. Like, the reason I wanted to get it done by Monday is because Wednesday next week I'm going on a little 4-day trip. But you know, if it's not done by then, I'll just finish it right when I get back. So like the final stream for this project will, you know, either be tomorrow or like when I get back. Very non-committal energy right now. Non-committal to the time of the stream, not the project, of course. I'm committed to seeing this through to the end, obviously. A perfect grade Zaku. Yeah, Gunpla, bit of a... Sometimes the Gunpla sells like hotcakes, as you say. Ooh, a Barbatos Kitbash. Ooh, a Gundam cafe store. That'd be a fun road trip. If you're looking for a perfect grade Zaku, I mean, this is me speculating, but it would be super cool if there was a perfect grade announced for like the end of the year that was a perfect grade Unleashed Zaku, you know, because the perfect grade Unleashed RX-78 came out last year, but that's just me speaking as a Zaku fan. Who knows if that's actually going to happen. I don't know what I would want more, a perfect grade Barbatos or a perfect grade Unleashed Zaku. I mean, if it's one of the older perfect grade Zaku kits, maybe you can get it for a deal. Or maybe you can especially get it for a deal if they announce a perfect grade Unleashed one. Yeah, getting some Gunpla feels like trying to get a PS5 sometimes. It's kind of a bummer. Needs to be a darker tone. Okay, gradient check. Just see one little spot I want to fix over here. Maybe just a little bit of this. Maybe a little brighter, actually. Not a lot to say. That looks like when it dries. Oh, hello, Fiverr. I got ketchup on this chat. Woo. Yes, we're seeing agreements on the perfect grade Unleashed Zaku. That's a couple perfect grades you got there, Dolfo. Yeah, that's true. Bandai doesn't like the mono eyes as much, it seems. Perfect grade. Thank Gel Goog. It's Friday. Good one. No, I'm glad I read through the chat in order. I'm glad I caught that pun, Fiverr. Thank you. It's going well. I mentioned earlier that I started JoJo Part 6 last night. Oh, I'm glad the 3-year-old likes... I guess I'm fixing the color in a way. I'm not sure. Purple and black is a good combo, if I do say so myself. P Bandai Act Zaku. Yeah, my like local guy just got the real great God Gundam, and it took a long time for it to show up. Looking for these feet feel like they're gonna be done soon. I'm looking forward to painting the less awkward to reach areas. Okay, I just can't quite get this part right. Okay, this one's gonna do it. I just know it. Oh, thank you for the $5.05 super chat, Dolfo. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Assuming you added the 5 cents that you could update the super chat widget on the chat box. You want the big Ava? You gotta at least finish part 4, Fiverr. I really like part 4. I mean, as soon as I said that sentence, I realized how like much of a meme I am. It's like, oh, you gotta watch part 4, and then that was what I said with part 3. But I think with part 3, I'm like, you gotta watch it for like the memes, and then so you can get to part 4. But then, you know, if you finish part 4, I'm probably gonna be like, oh, you gotta watch part 5. And I find purple is very easy for me to work with, like really like vibrant, colorful colors, like, you know, purple, blue, green, red. I can have a fun time painting those most of the time. It's more like, you know, well, the typically difficult colors like yellow, white. I have a hard time with those. Sometimes I feel like I have a hard time with black. Depends. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Sugar Candy Miniatures, aka Fiverr. Yeah, I had to, I programmed that sound effect all by myself. Well, I like used Streamlabs to program it. The default Streamlabs one isn't bad, but I was like, whatever, I've got the sound effects I use in my videos, might as well program one of those in. Unfortunately, the limitations of my new chat box graphic design cuts off your name. I'm very sorry. I don't know what the solution to that is. Perhaps there's a way to get a scroll going. I'm not sure. You can see your full name though. You just can't see how much you donated. So I suppose that could be a plus in some ways. Fell under the wall molding. Oh no. Beep boop serotonin noise. Yeah, I'm a fan of those. When I'm like editing my model building sequences in my videos, like the parts that happen after and in between the ASMR clacks. I like to include those beep boops, you know? I've amassed a decent collection of beep boops. Okay. Yeah, I still feel like I need to go back and fix this part. It's not quite the way I want it to look. But almost everything looks pretty much almost kind of sort of there, you know? Oh, but we got a beard hair in the paint water, people. Beard hair in the paint water. Yeah, exactly, Fiverr. All they can see is the dollar signs, so who knows what number comes after that. Did I go to school for any kind of technique? In terms of painting, no. How did I learn? Mostly through practice. Hello, MJRL hobby stuff. Let me think. I mean, when I was a young boy, I was into, you know, drawing and doodling and coloring and all that. Went to a few, like, art camps, art classes here and there. Grandpa's an art professor, too, so I was always, like, around art stuff. The painting models thing was, you know, firmly in the, like, hobby mindset. And I started doing that when I was like a tween with the Lord of the Rings battle game, and then eventually, you know, Warhammer Fantasy 40k, but then, yeah, at least it's in the paint water. It's a pretty big beard hair. I'd like to think I'd notice it if it, like, made it onto the model or the palette. Thank you, hobby stuff. Yeah, so, but then in my, like, throughout the majority of junior high and high school, I was more like interested in being a drama and band kid and trying to be popular and be a musician and that stuff, so the mini painting kind of dropped off for a while, and then I started getting back into it in my early 20s with War Machine and Hordes. And that was after a brief stint playing competitive Magic the Gathering. I'm gonna be talking about a decent amount of this in my next video, actually. I'll give you, like, the brief version. Yeah, and then when I started playing War Machine and Hordes, I was, like, really into it, and that was when I started, like, painting minis, like, a lot more in my free time, and just, like, really putting the hours in. And I guess that was where I would be developing lots of brush control, painting stamina, and just knowledge about products and techniques. And the amount of time I did with that kind of ebbed and flowed over the years up until, you know, good old 2020 hit. And I had, like, built some Gunpla before. I had, like, the first Gunpla I built was, that I remember, was in 2017, but I didn't start, like, customizing Gunpla until 2020. And I didn't start hand painting or using my, like, hand painting techniques on Gunpla until 2021. If you want, like, a more detailed breakdown of how I came about doing that, I would say watch my video from April. I think it's called How to Hand Paint Gunpla and Manage Burnout or something. I give a bit of backstory on that, but basically, the long story short is I saw the Japanese painter Sanosuke's work, and it made something click in my head, where I'm like, oh, all that paint, all those minis I've painted over the years, I could, like, use those same techniques on the Gunpla. I should try doing that. And then I tried experimenting a bit, kind of combining my knowledge with what I saw Sanosuke doing. And that was how I got the grays, which was also purple. more of like a blue purple than this purple. So learning, I guess, was just like through a lot of practice, trial and error, and also, you know, watching other people online paint. Because, you know, there's a real, we're really spoiled in terms of like painting content. Oh, nice. A diorama handmade by your brother. Thanks, Tristan. What instruments do I play? In the concert band, I played bass clarinet, and then I was in the choir. This wasn't all at the same time. This was like, I'll just summarize it all. I was in the choir, I sang baritone and tenor too. And that was a concert choir. I was also in the jazz choir. And then I played bass clarinet in the concert band, and then I played guitar in the jazz band. So I guess guitar was my main instrument. You know, typical boy wants to play loud rock music with the guitar. I still have 2 guitars. Almost never play them though. There was I guess like after, in my like time right after high school, my desire to become a musician faded, and I started getting more into photography. And that was like my first thing where I was like, maybe I'm more into like visuals stuff than musical stuff. But I still have like a very deep appreciation for music, and, you know, love listening to music. Karaoke is the shit. I wish there were better karaoke bars in my area. It's one of the best parts about going to Japan is the karaoke bars. But I think it's safe to say at this point my strengths more lie in the visuals than the musicals. You know, we've all got our strengths. So all the like music practice I did in high school was just so I could impress people at karaoke bars, perhaps. Or impress people with knowledge of heavy metal subgenres from when I spent time on Wikipedia instead of studying for my biology tests, you know what I mean? Yes, you guessed correctly, Cyber Scorpio. It was a woodwind and a string. Yeah, I mean, Japan, like any other country, has pros and cons of living there. In terms of natural disasters, Japan isn't as safe as other countries. But it's a very safe country in many other ways. Alright, are these feet... Okay, everything on this side of the foot, that looks just great to me. Right, it's like this part, maybe just a little bit there. These like backs of the heels here have been giving me a hard time as well. Although this one, I think that one's good enough. This one will actually probably look fine once I edge highlight it. Okay, so I'm just gonna do these 2 areas, and then I'm gonna move on from the feet. Then it's time to move on. Oh, let's just do one other check. This part, yeah, that'll be also be fine with the edge highlight. I think we need to add a bit of glaze medium to the palette though. Well, yeah, I mean, living in Japan and visiting Japan are 2 very different things. It's funny how Japan is a good place to get Moomin merch. I know there's a lot of Moomin fans in Japan, can confirm. Yeah, the crime rates are very low in Japan, that's true. It's a very safe place. I mean, maybe I'll move to Finland instead, and then I could also get you Moomin merch, Fiverr. I'm pretty sure there's a Moomin theme park in Japan. It'd be funny if there was a Moomin theme park in Japan, but not in Finland. Wouldn't that be a hoot? Yeah, it's hard to get invested. In hindsight, like, English and humanity classes were some of my favorites. But I can't say I didn't struggle staying awake during some Shakespeare readings, let me tell you. But the humanities are a very important subject, which is like hard to realize when you're in the class sometimes. It was English classes that got me, like, or that opened my eyes to the world of, like, critically analyzing film and stuff, which was a big eye-opener for me. And this was, like, before YouTube video essays were really a thing. Oh yeah, Fiverr, I never told you, alright, I don't think I told you how old I was at the last guest stream we did. Someone was asking how old I was. If you remind me in a text later, I'll tell you privately. I still don't want to reveal it to anyone here. I want to keep people guessing. Thanks, High School English, for giving me the tools to critically analyze Neon Genesis Evangelion. I guess there's a hint to my age, everybody. When I was in high school, video essays on YouTube weren't really a big thing yet. So there's a clue. Yeah, I think the issue I'm having with that piece is there's like a bit of texture that came from some paint that dried bad or something, and it's just messing up the way I'm looking at it. But I think what I just did to it there now is good, so we're gonna call the feet done. Alright, see ya, Bahama, thanks for coming. What's up, Caleb? Thanks for coming. You think I'm slightly younger than you, Kalinas? Maybe, I don't know. Oh, you'll be 31 in 2 months? Okay, here's another hint. I will say I'm younger than Kalinas, the Necromancer. I don't want to be too generous with the hints, though. That might be the last one I give. The first hint, which was an unspoken hint, was that I'm a millennial, because it's in the name. So what, millennials are born between, was it 1980 something and 1997? I was saying 1981 and 1997. Someone will have to fact check me on that. Alright, so let's focus on here, here, and here. And then with the chest, because I did like this side. Yeah, I did do this side of the backpack too, so maybe I will just focus on the whole torso. That's gonna, it might take a while, we'll see. We'll tackle just this one, these two skirt pieces here, and this leg flappy bit first. And it's pretty good how it is. It's just here, or like the top end and the bottom end, I just want more contrast. I'm pretty sure the Millennial cutoff is like 1997. But yeah, it does, yeah, generations, like, kind of bleed into each other, so at a certain point, it's pretty, it's pretty subjective a lot of the time. There's a lot of Zoomers that act like Millennials, and some Millennials that act like Zoomers. I'm sure I have my Zoomer tendencies here and there. And Millennials that act like Gen X, you know, so on, so on. I think we need more glaze medium. Okay, Caleb, just because you've been nice on the stream before and done some super chats, I'll say you're right. Caleb guessed my age right, everybody. I mean, ideally, you can work with power tools and not lose any digits. I believe in your ability to do that. Let's move to the mid-size brush. Yeah, Fiverr, am I older or younger than you, or the exact same age? Were you born the year 9 Inch Nails the Downward Spiral came out? Hello, it's Casual Thursday. Thanks for coming to my Friday stream. Good point, Cleanus. Okay. Glazing a new area, how exciting. Mutual Millennial Model Mayhem Intuition. Oh, okay. So I'm slightly older than you, Fiverr. No, the Downward Spiral came out in '94. Unless I'm misremembering that. I'd like to think I'm not misremembering it, because I really like that album. My, like, last year of high school, and, like, first couple years after that, those were, like, big 9 Inch Nails energy years for me. Now the frontman of 9 Inch Nails makes Pixar soundtracks and wins Oscars. Well, he's done like one Pixar soundtrack as far as I know. I can't wait for my when I hit my 30s and have a good old existential crisis. Well, I mean the existential crisis will just continue, but you know what I mean. This doesn't look dark enough. Oh, With Teeth came out this summer between 8th grade and high school. That sounds very appropriate. That's also a very good album. Man, I'm pretty sure I would say my favorite 9 Inch Nails album is the Downward Spiral, and then maybe my second favorite would probably be the Fragile. But really, there's a lot of good albums. It's hard to pick. Yeah, I think that's kind of the more contrast I was looking for there. I think that worked out well. Let's see what I mixed here, though. Maybe between here. Oh, there's a little speck of something there. Oh, Fiverr, I liked your Instagram post, or I saw your Instagram post. I like the game board you're using for Malifaux. Did you just start getting into Malifaux? Yeah, exactly, Shane. I feel ya. I feel ya. Yeah, I was very much... I tried to be a good boy in school, so I didn't really get caught with my phone in class that often. Or I think I got caught texting in band practice once, but most of the time I was a good boy and didn't have my phone out. Oh, and hello, GJ Aljudy Janel. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Ghost is really good. It's really underrated for background stuff. Or like, I have a playlist that was like my study playlist in university. That was all instrumental music, and all of Ghost was on there. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, I was checking out, or I was like observing some Malifaux models at my local store the other day from like one of their newer sets called like Into the Breach or something like that, and it seems like the gimmick for the product was that they were all pre-assembled. So like the boxes were pretty large, like larger than they needed to be. Which I'm assuming is due to like the poses of these pre-assembled models. I feel like gradient. I feel like the high end of this gradient just needs a bit more action here. Yeah, Malifaux models always look pretty cool. They look even harder to assemble than Infinity models, and Infinity have been like some of the hardest models I've ever assembled. Oh, Into the Breach is an RPG, okay. I remember seeing some of the models on Into the Breach on like a Kickstarter years ago that looked pretty cool, and then there was something about them like fumbling the launch of it, and I completely forgotten about it, and now years later I see it show up again on my local store shelf, so I'm glad they got the product out eventually. I think the Malifaux aesthetic was like pretty similar to the War Machine aesthetic for me, and I was like, I think I'll stick with War Machine. They're still like different enough. War Machine, Guild Ball, Malifaux, they're all they're all like fairly steampunky. I don't feel like that's a hot take. I mean, War Machine is literally steampunk. I don't know what you'd call Malifaux. Victorian horror? I think having the deck of cards as like a gameplay mechanic gimmick is cool. Okay, let's let that dry and see how it looks. Yeah, I'm so rusty with my tabletop games now, Fiverr. I also need to get good. Steampunk adjacent. Yeah, now that I think of it, or like now that I'm recalling memories of various Malifaux models I've observed over the years, there are lots of pretty steampunky ones. I guess it depends on your faction. I feel like I had my competitive gaming days started with, or my competitive tabletop gaming days, I should say, started with Magic the Gathering. And that turned into War Machine. But these days I'm more in it just for like the playing games with friends part, less the like for the desire to just like hone the skill at being really good at the game, which there's nothing wrong with, obviously. I'll keep that a secret for now, Cyber Scorpio. You want to know my astrological sign or something? Gotta keep a bit of a mystery here in this parasocial relationship. GG, I will not do Dynamiz next. Sorry, I don't have one. The only people, or usually the people who know what I'm doing next are the Patreon members. I try to set things up so they're the ones that know what my next project is before anyone else. Sometimes they even get to vote on, or the higher tier patrons get to vote on polls sometimes. And sometimes those polls will be for what model I'm going to customize, but enough plugging my Patreon. I'm not sure what you're laughing, which part you're laughing at there, Fiverr, but thanks. Oh, Fiverr, Blood Bowl question for you. Sorry, I'm like just calling you out a lot in the chat. Is when you're playing with Blood Bowl, how necessary, or like if you start playing Blood Bowl regularly, how inevitable is it that you need to buy like a bruiser for your team? You know, like the ogres for the humans, or like the Zote, or like the treemen for the wood elves. Is that like if you play enough Blood Bowl, are you eventually gonna be like, okay, I kind of need this on my team? Ah, well, we're all still millennials at the end of the day, Cyber Scorpio. Depends on the team. Figures. Ah, this little mistake of purple on the gray is just staring at me constantly when I'm working on this part. I almost got distracted earlier and fixed it, but I was like, I don't want to switch to the gray paint. I'm in the purple paint zone. Fix the gray later. Oh boy, it's been an hour already. That time just flew by. Time flies when you're painting purple. Necro or Black Orcs would be fine without him. I wonder if Lizardman would be fine without him. That seems on brand for goblins. They always need a big boy to help. Garlic fry time. Congratulations on the garlic fries. I'm happy for you. Thanks, GJ. Alright, see ya, Shane. Thanks for coming by. Oh, and Sam Hine, hello. Are SD Gundam kits worth buying or painting? They're good for, like, you know, if you've got a big ambitious painting plan for a certain big kit. Oh, sorry, there's a bug flying around my lights. SD kits are good to, like, practice on and stuff. If you can get your hands on one of the fancier, like, cross silhouette frame SD kits, those ones are, like, a bit nicer and worth, you know, giving them their own, or like a proper customization. And there's like one area of here where the tone is a little bit off. I wonder if fixing it will make me need to restart the whole area. Let's find out. SD kits are very affordable too, so I like to have them, like, I've used SDs to practice or like test stuff on. Like I think it's like the SDEX series are like pretty cheap and mediocre and have a lot of stickers. I might be misremembering the name of this series, but only like the super, in my experience, only the like extra fancy SD kits are like worth going the full, like, I'm gonna customize this route. But now, of course, we've got that master grade SD coming out, which looks pretty nice, and will definitely, or it looks like it'll be deserving of like a full-on proper customization in itself. I don't, like, I haven't put in an order for it or anything, but I'll look forward to watching videos of other people customizing it when it comes out. I'll have to, I don't know how much it's gonna be in Canadian dollars as well. I'll have to see. John Bear, my first Warhammer army, I mean, my first miniatures army ever was with the Two Towers Lord of the Rings strategy battle game set. So it was an Uruk-hai army and a Rohan army. So I expanded both of those a bit. But I sold that stuff years ago, which I do regret. But what can I say? I was young and foolish. But the first Warhammer army was a Lizardman. Still have it. Yeah, I still like, I think I have, I mean, there might be a couple models that are just like lost to the ages from having too many coats of like inappropriate brands of paint on them, because, you know, when you're 12, what are you gonna do? Yeah, and I think this side skirt here, the gradient blend on there looks totally fine. I don't even think I'm gonna touch it. It's maybe just like on the sides and top. Yeah, Warhammer. First Warhammer army, Lizardman. I collected a bit of Tau at some point after that. I am a lizard man. Yeah, I collected a bit of Tau after that. I never like collected enough Tau to have like a proper like legal army for 40k, but and I still have a little bit of Tau, but not even enough to have a kill team. Or maybe I could have like a very unoptimized bad kill team. Tyranids, nice. I like Tyranids. Almost started Tyranids armies a couple times. Let's switch back to the big boy. Yeah, and eventually I did start a second Warhammer army, which was the Empire. Still have that army. The Lizardman army was the one I made the choice in 2020 to start rebasing it to round bases to play with, you know, Age of Sigmar or the one-page rules equivalent. But then you know, because I have 2 Warhammer Fantasy armies, I'm like, I'll put the Lizardmen on round bases and leave the Empire on square bases. And I'm glad I did, because, you know, if that Warhammer, or that Games Workshop game, the Warhammer The Old World, ever comes out, maybe I'll be able to use my Empire in it. Who knows? And the Lizardman army, you know, has like the big dinosaur models, and those like big centerpiece models just like kind of, I hate to say it, but they are a lot of models in general just look better on round bases rather than squares. But you know, the Empire army has that very like, you know, rank and file war game feel to it, because it's, you know, just like human dudes with swords and shields and guns and stuff, so like it just feels right to leave them on square bases. But that's kind of why I like the game Conquest Last Argument of Kings, because it's kind of struck the nice balance in the middle of having the minis on round bases, but then they're slotted in to square movement trays that like rank up nicely, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate discount code with them. And I don't bring it up all the time because of my affiliate code. Like, I made my Conquest video originally without even being set up as an affiliate with them. They gave me the affiliate code after the fact. I made content about the game because I like the game. Just like I'll do with other games like Gamma Wolves, and, well, I mean, my next video I'll be mentioning a bunch of different tabletop games. Because there's just a lot of stuff about tabletop gaming I want to get off my chest before I do another Gunpla video. I guess the last video counts as Gunpla video. It's just a very tiny Pop-Tarty Gunpla. Which counts in my eyes. Oh yeah, Fiverr, I was gonna mention, I don't know if you're still here, but whenever it ends up being, but the next stream I do that's not a Sazabi stream, we should do another guest stream or something. I'll leave the rest to our off-stream discussion, I guess. But believe it or not, the Sazabi will be done eventually, and I will stream something else despite being on, you know, like part 8 of this now. I find it pretty satisfying seeing all the like stream thumbnails line up, going from part 1 to part 8. You almost had a Sazabi. Yep, and yeah, Cyber Scorpio, you've corrected me enough times to now that I know when you say P2 it means Pathfinder 2E, because I kept forgetting. Thanks, GJ. What happened to your Sazabi, Neon Astray? Is that a story you told me before that I forgot? If so, I'm sorry. Okay, we are done the side skirts that I started last stream, and we're going to finish this front area here. Or this, I don't know what to call this. It's not quite a shin, because it's like attached to the bell bottom. It's just like front leg skirt. Front leg armor, I guess. Yeah, and I think what I was missing last time was the gradient needs to be darker on the inside bit here because it's, you know, not getting as much light. Oh, you lucked out, I see. Do I have a Gundam Destiny? No. Or I have one that I think it's the... No, I think it's a Force Impulse versus Strike. Or no, I have it's a. I'm looking at the box art on the wall. It's a P-band. I said Freedom Gundam versus Force Impulse Gundam Battle of Destiny set. It's like a P-band metallic coating set, and it comes with fancy parts where you can recreate the pose where one of them's like stabbing the other one through the chest with a big sword. Me and Blue Parappa built that set for like, or I bought it for a Valentine's Day activity. 2020? No, I think it was 2021. So I thought I remembered something to do with Destiny for a second, and it was the Battle of Destiny set, but I don't think it's an actual Destiny Gundam. I haven't seen Gundam Seed, I'm sorry. Good designs in that show. I know it must be a disappointment to some of you, but I have not watched every single Gundam show. I'm sorry. Not sorry though, or not really that sorry. I've seen a decent amount of them. Destiny protagonist be like, you ruined my life. That's a joke I would understand if I had seen Gundam Seed. Or is the second part of Gundam Seed called Gundam Seed Destiny? I hope I'm not embarrassing myself right now. We need more glaze medium. Okay, it is called Seed Destiny. Or do I need more? Let's just see what's remaining on the palette here. I noticed I hadn't really mixed the bright areas much. Okay, we got a little bit to work with here. Usually I buy my Gunplas at local stores in my area, GJ. In terms of online stores, I've used a few different ones, and it's more just like which ones are in Canada or have okay shipping rates to Canada and have what I'm looking for. I don't know if there's been a store I've ordered from more than once. I've ordered online Gunpla stuff so few times that it's like I haven't done a repeat store yet, so most of the time it's just local retailers. I like to support the local stores if I can. And then sometimes people will donate stuff, or one time a person has donated Gunpla stuff to me. Yeah, so Wing Gundam is also good with nostalgia goggles. Nothing beats the ending of the first episode of Wing Gundam, though. If you know, you know. And Wing Gundam is like one of those animes where it's like, usually I'm like all about watching the sub, because, you know, I'm a weeb, and I have studied Japanese before, so I enjoy the like language study aspect of it, or just like the language aspect of it. Watching anime in sub isn't like an actual way to study Japanese, really. But Wing Gundam is like one of, like, the show is kind of entertaining to watch because it's like bad good in a way. But that's like more so with the dub, so it's arguably a more entertaining experience, you know, from the perspective of an English speaker to watch it in English. Like, has anyone seen the anime called Garzy's Wing? That's an anime that's like kind of bad and boring if you're watching it in Japanese, but then if you watch it in English, it's like 10 out of 10, like so bad it's amazing, hilarious. Yeah, Sam Hine, there's definitely people I've met in the hobby before, like you, who just build it and don't actually watch the shows, which is totally valid. I think once I finish this leg piece, I'm gonna go grab my drink and then move on to the individual sections. I think that if I do the chest and head, I'm gonna wanna like do the whole chest and backpack, and I don't want the whole stream to be that. Still got a good 5-10 minutes to go on this front foot section though. And yeah, GJ, that's fair. I am lucky to have, or I am like privileged to have local stores I can buy it at in my area. There's lots of like hobby stores around in cities in Canada, I find, because the cold winters encourages picking up hobbies that you can do inside. I see it's 8. I don't think there's some kind of hair or fiber on the front here. I might have to, when that dries, just grab a bit of my like 4000 grit paper and get rid of that. You could see some. That would be something I haven't shown on stream before. Getting there. Duo's voice, they all went hard on the, or most of them went hard on the dub. Relina is the most entertaining one. G Gundam, yeah, that's a good one. That's one I've seen all the way through. Oh, cool. Yeah, early, I mean, even now the voice acting industry is like, there's lots of voice, like it's pretty, there's a small number of actors that a lot of different series rely on. So you like hear repeat voices a lot with the English dub actors. This is my only Sazabi, and it's a commission, so when it's done I will be sending it away and it will no longer be mine. Alright, we got that nice stripe of bright pink, and now we're just gonna blend it. That's not dark enough. That's better. Messed up a little bit over here though. I'll mop that up. Yeah, that's looking nice and smooth, I think. Obviously, if you look at it up close, you can see the brush strokes, but there's almost a certain charm to that, I find. I've had people that at the anime convention I entered my Buster Gundam into. I had someone tell me that they like enjoyed seeing the brush strokes in it when you look up close, so there, it's justified. Not that I needed to justify it. Okay, I feel like this side is done. There's like a little messiness here, but that is to be fixed during the edge highlight. Yes, I know Gundam 00. I've seen like 3 episodes of it. I've been destroyed by Exia and Gundam Evolution a lot. Especially when I'm playing Barbatos. Hello, Exu. Yes, the Gundam Flowers. I like that one a lot. Well, sorry, not sorry, I made you fall into the rabbit hole. So are you gonna get into Warhammer 2 or just Gunpla? If you're getting into Warhammer, I recommend checking out the used market. Or finding a friend to split one of those big expensive boxes that comes with 2 forces in it. Yeah, my Gundam Flowers, I didn't do a dedicated video on it, but in a way I did because it's the main feature of my stop motion animation sequence, which is the intro for most of my videos. I think that was like my main idea when I started customizing it. It was like a somewhat spontaneous decision. I was like, I need to make a new stop motion animation intro, and this one has a cool transforming, like relatively simple transforming gimmick that I think will work well for it. So I just did a basic customization. Oh yeah, and I had like bought the third-party Iron-Blooded Orphans water slide decals sheet. So I had the it had like the Ryuseigo eyes on it. So I wanted to give those a shot. It's the kind of transformation that works well on a Gunpla because it's like very simple. It's just kind of turning into like a long-range artillery firing mode. I remember when that like gimmick makes an appearance in the Iron-Blooded Orphans show, it was pretty sick. And the name is pretty good too. Flauros Ryuseigo. Yeah, I think it was either like the end. No, it wasn't the end of season. The end of season 1 was when there's the big battle in Edmonton, which is super hilarious for me because Edmonton's like a city I've been to. Or it's like a city in the province I live in. Yeah, I think the part with the Rusiga was like in the beginning of season 2. They're like, you're like the first 12 episode arc of season 2. It's when Barbatos is Barbatos Lupus. It's not Barbatos Lupus Rex yet. Yeah, I was at one of my local stores last weekend actually, and they had that high grade kit for the mobile armor, the like big evil robot bird. Kind of regret not buying it, but it's very large. Thanks, Mason. I hope you get into painting soon too. I'm not that into the Fats Verka. I'm not like that into too many Verka kits because they usually like have a lot of pretty intense like mechanical gimmicks that in my eyes don't like play that well with hand painting techniques. So I usually just am content to observe those ones from a distance. I'm sure I'll pick up a Verka someday. When the right one calls to me. I'm a little worried the like gradient transition here is too sharp in comparison to this one, but I think that's just me worrying too much. Okay, I'm gonna finish this section, then I'll grab that sanding thing I was talking about. I think there's like maybe one or two people I follow on Instagram that are Filipino and do Warhammer. I don't know if they're like in the Philippines. I mean, there's plenty of stuff you can grab if you end up coming to Canada for work. Warhammer could be one of them. Yeah, that's interesting. You say it looks like a metallic accent. It's like the painting technique I'm doing is similar to painting non-metallic metal in a way. It's not quite as complex as that though. No, it's too bright. And yeah, the Lupus Rex is indeed a melee beast. I don't know which version I like the most. Like, I like the bigger, more beastly arms that the Lupus Rex has, but I don't like the, like, tail gimmick as much. It's hard to judge the, like, just regular Gundam Barbatos because that's the only one with a master grade and it has that, like, P Bandai expansion set, so usually my mind jumps to like that one being my favorite, but that's because it's like the only one that has the master grade, and I spent a lot of time on that model and I had a good time. Okay. Yeah, Tamiya paint with Warhammer, haven't used that myself. Yeah. OG Barbatos, there's a lot to like there for sure. Okay, just gotta grab the 4000 grit. I should have been looking at the other chat window to make sure there's no messages accidentally getting flagged. Oh yeah, there was. From casual. It's Casual Thursday, I'm sorry. You just said, "I'll kill you," quoting that line from Gundam Wing, and of course YouTube was like, that's inappropriate, we gotta censor that. Which I guess it's fair, you were saying that you'll kill me, but there was quotes, so... Come on, YouTube algorithm, don't you know the Gundam Wing? Alright, I just got the classic, you know, tiny bit of sanding foam on a toothpick here. And there's just a teeny little fiber or something stuck in the front there I'm gonna get rid of. While I'm here, I might as well do this bit that was bothering me earlier. So I'm not the only one. Oh no, it wasn't your fault. It's Casual Thursday. I think the tail is like cool to see in the anime, but gimmicks like that on model kits I'm like don't like as much, but I think it's still cool. Just compared to the other Barbatos, it's not my favorite design aspect. Using the 4000 grit so it doesn't, you know, totally destroy the paint work I've done. Are you talking about the Lupus Rex kit, Cyber Scorpio? Gotta be careful I'm not too vigorous with the model here. I don't want the glue to crack on the base. Yeah, it's still kind of there. So I'm gonna get my head in the frame here while I look up close at this. Okay, it's not a fiber. It's just like a line from paint drying. Should be easy enough to fix. The Master Grade Barbatos. A fan favorite and a classic. Definitely met all the hype when I finally built it. It was one of the first Master Grades I got, actually. The very first Master Grade I got was the Endless Waltz Heavy Arms. For a very reasonable price. Back and forth on this spot here. It's kind of awkward because it's like a narrow segment to be painting. Hopefully the camera focus isn't going too crazy. that dry for now. Let's just quickly circle back here. Just trying to get to this good stopping point here, then I'll catch up on the chat and go grab the burp juice. Just need to check in the corner of my room to see if the ants showed back up. I thought that bug flying around earlier was an ant. There's not supposed to be here with the cold weather. Okay, I'm doing that thing I usually do where I mess up the earlier work. To be a bit more precise of where I'm getting the paint off the palette. Nothing to catch up on. All right. Just need to grab a tiny little bit. Alright, well, let's leave that as it is for now. I think that's an appropriate amount of highlight for it. So this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done. The feet are done. And I think we're going to move on to the separate pieces now. The Burning God Gundam. Yeah, that's a classic affordable master grade. Does that one have screws in it? Okay, everyone say bye to the main body of the Sazabi because I'm gonna be painting the separate sections next. Just blowing off any stray dust. And it's going back under the dust cover. I want to build one of those old master grades someday. Hands getting a little sweaty from wearing this glove. Let's just blow some air into here. Alright, I'd like to get to at least 3.5 hours of this stream. Okay, I will be right back. I'm just gonna have a quick stretch and grab a drink. Hang tight, people. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. I've acquired the carbonated beverage, so you know what that means. It means the camera's focus is gonna go crazy. Sorry, I'm just getting the chair to the right spot. Okay, it has to be in a very specific spot for the camera angle. Anyways. Cheers. Alright. I don't think I'm gonna tackle the arms. I think I'm just gonna work on all of the segments of the, I don't know what you call it, the back arm, the backpack arm, the demon cannon arm thing. Or in the scythe hand is detached as well. That just has one like tiny purple section, so I'll get that done as well. Let the burp fest begin. Yes, exactly. I think what we were at, like 8 burps last stream. I broke the record. I don't know if I'll be able to replicate that for this stream. And I'll put the sweaty glove back on and I'll grab those pieces. Yes, chat is ready for the burps, I see. Good, good. Sorry, the glove's a little sweaty there. Alright. Also got the shoulders. Can't forget about those. I think maybe we'll just start with the shoulders in hand here. Let's see how long these take. And I'll probably need to get alligator clip. Trying to remember where I clipped these before. I mean, I guess either I do an alligator clip or I just do like only certain sections at a time. I guess I could do that. This handpiece is gonna be quick though. I'll probably just start with that. Yeah, just a little lube for the glove. Alright, time to refill the WAP. By the time this project is done, this violet red will probably be almost empty, if I had to guess. With the other sections, we'll start with just the violet red to tidy up the foundation where it needs it. I'm not going to bother with the alligator clip for this part because it'll be easy to avoid touching the purple because it's such a small area. Oh yeah, I sure do use the alligator clips a lot. It took me longer than it should have to like break down and order them. I tried to find them at like hardware stores, but I couldn't find them. Or they only have them in very small packs. I'm like, no, I needed like a 50 pack of these at least, probably more. Barbecue skewers, easy to find. Alligator clips, more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought I had a burp there, not quite. There we go, burp one. Was unable to work that one into a sentence. Okay, now we mix. Yeah, we got that part. There's enough remaining pink on the palette. I don't think we need to add any pink. Just add a drop of glaze there. Grab some purple. And just mix it in with what's left over. And that can be the first part of the glaze, easy. I gotta be careful grabbing this piece here because it was glued. Or it was like, the weapon was shortened and glued just because it looked a bit better. With like a slightly shortened shaft. Yeah, feel free to let me know if the camera focus is getting a little wild on these like smaller bits that I'm holding up a bit higher. I can adjust the camera to make it, to fix it probably. Okay, I think that needs a minute to dry. I think for these shoulder pads, it makes the most sense to focus on like these side areas first. Just because I like to work on the smaller bits and like finish those off, then do the bigger bits. Generally. But I'm gonna do like completely finish this side, then move to this side, because there's too much chance of me like touching it when the paint's wet, which would not be desirable. Oh, grabbed from the wrong spot on the palette there. Okay, back to the hand piece. Oh, let's do the other shoulder. Actually, it's not quite dry. Not quite dry enough. Don't want to tear up that one layer of glaze. Yeah, and it's like I said, sometimes getting the smaller parts done first can give me the confidence boost I need to tackle the more intimidating sections. Does anyone here watch the, there's this Gunpla YouTuber who does stop motion called Yushikiro. He's a Japanese guy. He put out video with the new real grade God Gundam today, and it was amazing, as always. I think the first of his videos I saw was with the real grade new Gundam. And I've just been hooked ever since. He does some pretty incredible stop motion building sequences. See an area on here I might have to get out that sanding sponge for again. We'll see. The burps just keep getting stuck. It's punishment for burping too many times last stream. That doesn't look right. Keep tearing up the paint with my brush, that's a problem. I wasn't doing this before, maybe I'm just putting it on too thick. Let's still work on these side sections though. Try and get a little wet blending in. Okay, that needs even longer to dry because I keep tearing up paint. Burp 2, that was a decent one. That was like, that had been building up like 2 burps. How is that right? Just trying to decide whether I need to sand this part or get away with just scratching the bit off with my finger. Okay, yeah, we're gonna need to sand that part. Well, in the meantime, I'll work on this one. I think the next size up and brush would be advisable as well. well as some more glaze medium. Okay, I'm gonna move the camera just a little bit. Sorry for any shakiness there. I gotta be careful I don't spend too much time on this like side section here because, you know, it's like the side of the shoulder pad. I don't know how, I mean, like that part might get a decent amount of like visibility, but it's not gonna be a part that people's eyes are drawn to. It's like, you know, the big, like the larger flat surface areas. That's where I need to put in the elbow grease in terms of the gradients. Alright, sorry, I need to get that sanding sponge again. Almost there. There's just a little, there's like a speck of dust or like something there, like a bump that I could see. And I tried, sometimes I can get it off with a fingernail and it doesn't like tear up the paint, but not in this case, so. This is just a tiny little piece of, I think I grabbed the 2000 instead of the 4000, but just to smooth that smooth again. I think that did the trick. And we're just gonna have to give it the base purple. No one will ever know except everyone watching this stream currently and anyone that watches it in the future at this exact moment. Alright, is the hand dry enough? I think that needs to be a bit drier. I like tore up too much paint earlier. But we are good to keep glazing on this part. Yeah, sometimes little particles like that can, you know, come in. Usually, like, they get, yeah, there's like one right there. Usually they like come from the brush, so like it might be picked up in the paint water pot or like the palette. So I'll take the steps I can to, you know, keep dust out of the areas. Got an air purifier running in the background. I don't know if anyone can hear it. I like cover up the paint water when I'm not using it. Cover up, well, the palette gets covered just because that's how wet palettes work. But there's a reason I call the dust my arch nemesis. Building this area back up. This paint could be too thin, possibly. I'll have to leave that to dry in a way where it doesn't pool in a weird way. Or maybe I just gotta keep spreading it out a bit. Okay, that should be fine. Still a little wet. Well, I think I should just start working on this top area. Need more areas to work on to ensure sufficient drying time. Alright, and this gradient's a big one, but it's pretty straightforward. Hello, Midland Zeta. Mecha parts guy, who's that? Was he someone that sold, like, replacement Bandai parts? Did Bandai shut him down or something? I usually just constrain my kit bashing to what's in the Gundam graveyard. Although with the Red Bull God Gundam, that was one where I like actively bought the real grade Wing Zero, because obviously I knew I had to do the Red Bull gives you wings joke. Yeah, that sounds frustrating as well, Cyber Scorpio. He sold replacement parts. So did Bandai shut him down because they were like starting that a service like that themselves or something? Or did he just stop operating just because? Sounds like a useful, like, tiny little web shop to have, though. I'm sure a lot of people would use that. Don't remember if I said, but we're on 3 burps now. Let's mix the brighter shade. Yeah, my original plan is changing. I kind of just want to work on this big top piece of the shoulder pad all at once now. See how that goes. Of course, I can keep dipping back to this side piece. When you say paint grade material and CNC machine, is that for something, what are you making in that case? Something bigger than Gunpla? Alright, there's the bright pink. See if it can blend in the darker pink. To get a little darker though. And a little glazier. Alright, not bad. I think this bright area needs to go a bit further down though. Cabinet doors and drawer fronts. Okay, I see. That does sound like a nightmare. With the paint stuff anyways. Whoops, tearing up a bit of paint there, better stop. And check. I think it's still a bit too early. Check the other shoulder. Alright, well let's get going on this one. Burp 4. There we go. How was that one? Do we need more glaze? Not yet. Not yet. Just a bit of water will do. I think Gunpla Talk Show is doing a stream tonight where they're talking about the craziness that's going on with the Gunpla Builders World Championship. Or is it World Cup? I think it's called Championship. Has anyone watching heard about that? I saw that I can't remember if it was Twitter or Facebook drama about. Oh, that sounds fun, Kalinas. There's like the one builder who like won with a Gundam seed diorama that looks exactly like a Gundam seed diorama that won from 2013 or something, so a little bit of plagiarism energy going around. I'll have to Check and see if they got a VOD for that lying around. I can watch later. I was a bit too preoccupied with doing the Gamma Wolves battle report and like finishing up kits and videos for that whole thing this summer to even really think about doing the Gunpla Builders World Cup, but you know, I'd like to try it someday. The only competitions I've done have been local ones. And I came in first in the medium category with the Master Grade Barbatos in my first competition. Second competition, I didn't win anything, but it came close, and I still had fun. Bird 5. No, I think we need more glaze medium. Probably my favorite part about the recent Doan's Island movie was the scenes with the high mobility Zakus. I liked seeing them zoom around. It was pretty satisfying. Fingernails only turning a little purple. Still looks a little shiny. I tore up the paint there twice. I don't want to do it a third time. Yeah, we can still keep working up on the bottom end. And me and Blue Prep are done watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners now, so I need to get around to like making a Crunchyroll account again so we can watch Witch from Mercury. And that's it. I feel like I saw somewhere that it'll be parts of it will be available on Gundam Info eventually, but the last time I checked they weren't there, so if I can watch it on Gundam Info, I prefer that, but you know, it's like a currently airing show, so I'm not expecting it to be put up on YouTube for free. Yeah, cutting mat is pretty essential, I'd say. I've used a pin vise and a saw decently often as well. This year I've used the saw more often than my pin vise, but I use the pin vise a lot over the years with miniature stuff, especially for like pinning fragile places. Or, you know, drilling gun barrels. So I'd say all three of those things are useful to have. Oh dang, I tore up some paint there. Yikes. Well, let's not touch that area right now. Ooh, a Hazel and full armor Gundam Kitbash. That sounds like a lot of armor you got there. Must be a thick boy. Back to the other shoulder. Yeah, scribing tools. I mean, obviously those are good to have if you're planning on scribing. I don't use my scriber too often. But that's because I don't scribe that often. I'm still, like, glad I have it available. Oh, it does show there are some. Interesting. Yeah, I think I prefer to... It's been a while since I watched any anime shows as they air. And I've had a good time doing that before, but I think now I prefer to, like, yeah, wait for a decent amount of them to be out, and then I can watch a bunch of them in a row. Burp 6. Yeah, the first time I, like, tried using my grabbing tool just to, like, see what it was like on some scrap pieces, I, like, cut my finger, like, or I nicked my finger, like, 3 times in, like, 5 minutes. I was like, alright, guess this thing's sharp then. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even watched the... Or, I mean, all I've watched is the prologue, and I want some of the kids, so... The Digimon Ghost game? Oh yeah, I guess there was a Digimon show. I thought you were talking about the new game, Digimon Survive. I watched Blue Parappa play a little bit of that. Oh yes, I've injured myself plenty more times with the hobby knife. Alright, I think it's time for more paint on the palette. Okay. Is the hand dry enough yet? Let's call that dry enough. Let's get this hand over with. Alright, that's looking better for sure. Alright. Hopefully the camera hasn't gone out of focus too hard. You know, I pay more attention to the painting that's in front of me than the monitor. And this top side of the hand obviously gets more of the brighter color than the bottom side. think that might be the hand finished. Let's let that dry and see what it looks like after. My favorite color scheme for a Gundam? You mean like color scheme that I've painted or like to paint, or color scheme that like the original designers came up with? Burp 7. Or is that burp 6? I can't remember. Yeah, picking a favorite color scheme for a Gundam's hard. My color schemes for what I like to paint. Colorful stuff, like all of my Gamma Wolves team. Reds, blues, purple. I guess it would be like reds, blues, purples, and greens. I've enjoyed, or like the projects I've done that are orange, or like have orange in them, have been a lot of fun as well. And enjoy looking at them, but I think at the end of the day I prefer, like the colors I think of that I enjoy painting the most, like reds, blues, purples, greens. Maybe some good like khaki and tans and stuff, but that's more for when I'm like painting miniatures and stuff. Kalenas, do you mean like when you're like all the parts in the box are like the parts for that kit and you have trouble organizing them for painting? I like to go to the dollar store and get those like cheap kind of like tool, or like, I guess you call them like tool boxes or like fishing tackle boxes. They're like Tupperware with just like different modular compartments inside. Those are good for like organizing pieces for painting, because it can be a little daunting. You've probably seen in like some of my videos before, and like time lapses where I'm like planning things out in a notebook specifically, and like the order of colors when you're painting you have to take into consideration as well. Like when you're airbrushing, it makes sense to go lightest to darkest in terms of like ease of paint, cleaning out the paint cup. Bagged and labeled, yep, that's another solution. So many fun ways to organize things. I'm a fan of those kinds of activities. Though I had to switch from going to the dollar store to the hardware store for the like, it wasn't the real grade, it might have been the real grade high news. Some of the pieces were like longer, too big to fit in the small like dollar store bin, so I had to go find a bigger one. So I've got a larger bin for master grade projects and then a couple smaller bins for high grade ones. Yeah, I do that. Cyber Scorpio, I do that too. Or sometimes, if I'm doing it for a video, usually I'll like clip out all the parts for the ASMR at once and like keep them organized in a bin while I'm recording that according to a section, and then I'll like, when I'm building it, I'll go section by section according to the rulebook usually. Or not rulebook, instruction manual. Rulebook's a tabletop gaming thing. Hearing creaking sounds coming from one of my lights. I wonder if it's complaining about being turned on for too long. Yeah, if you want like nice precise masking, I'd say it is worth it. It's worth it to like buy hobby grade masking tape, like the Tamiya stuff. It works pretty well. Just like, what was that, burp 7? Stick it on the cutting mat first, and then when you cut it out and peel it off to put on the model kit, the first like layer of adhesive is removed, so there's less chance of it ripping up paint. There are more guidelines than actual rules. Oh, that sounds familiar. I don't know if I can name that movie though. Yeah, that's right, Dark Matter. I mean, I'm almost at the 3-hour mark, so usually I at least make it to 3 hours. I think at the beginning of this stream I said I wanted to get to 3.5, but my lower back's hurting a bit. We'll see. Still a decent amount of paint on the palette, of course. With how these shoulders are going, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish like both of these shoulders by the end of the session. We'll see, but I think this hand, yeah, I'm gonna call this done for now. It looks like it needs a bit more highlights, but it'll get those when I do the edge, the final edge highlight. Oh, there are more guidelines than actual rules. Is that from a recent movie? Oh, that feels very familiar. No, they'll probably carry it if it's... Well, it's likely they'll carry the Tamiya stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's get a bit more glazy. this top bit of the shoulder section's starting to come together, I think. Let's add some of the very brightest. Alright, now we need to start blending that into the darker areas better. Oh, it's Pirates of the Caribbean then? Is it the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie? No, that's alright, you don't have to be sorry, Dark Matter. Thanks for popping by. Thank you, Kalinus. This side might be getting there. Yeah, good old Curse of the Black Pearl. I remember when that came out. I had to wait for it to come to the video store to rent it before I could actually watch it. Is anyone in chat nostalgic for video rental stores? I feel like that's like the most 2000s business there is. I remember playing a fun web browser game for Curse of the Black Pearl as well, actually. The web browser game I have the most nostalgia for, though, the promotional web browser game I have the most nostalgia for is like the original Bionicle Flash game on the Bionicle website. Any Bionicle fans in the chat? RIP Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. And all the independent stores. I mean, yeah, my first kit from years ago has I did a horrendous job on cleaning up the nubs. Pirate themed Gundam? Yeah, the Crossbone Gundam. Not quite my aesthetic, but it's an aesthetic that needs to be out there, you know? Oh, it smells like cat pee. Oh, we got the Bionicle comment brought in a lot of comments here. Good. Let me catch up on these. Ah, yes, the Bow Rock Bionicle. Those were fun. My favorite series, I think, was the Rockshi, but they didn't have a gimmick as cool as turning into a ball. I've never thought about painting a Bionicle, but I have a kind of dumb shitpost like Instagram reel Bionicle thing I need to get around to editing. It's like 10 seconds long, but yeah, I've never thought about painting a Bionicle. But yeah, definitely, like, I loved building and posing Bionicles, so that probably contributed to my love of like kit bashing things and doing models. I remember some Bionicle joints being pretty tight. The Bionicle PS2 game, which is like an objectively bad game, I have a lot of nostalgia for as well. Oh yeah, I guess I made a joke about that game in my Buster Gundam video. The Bionicle movies I watched a ton as a kid as well. Okay, I don't know what needs to be done on that side actually, so I'm gonna move to here. I've seen some pretty cool, like, Bionicle kit bashes done, like, these days, you know, by adults that are just, like, you know, custom Bionicles are their thing. I've seen some pretty incredible, like, stuff people can come up with enough access to parts. Alright, let's switch to working on the other shoulder. Hero Factory? No, I'm aware of Hero Factory. I never watched it, but I think I remember Hero Factory. That was like what they tried to follow up Bionicle with after the first time they like ended the line, right? And then they tried to have a Bionicle revival after Hero Factory didn't work out, I think. Yeah, Mask of Light movie, and I remember I played the Game Boy Advance Mask of Light game, but like on a friend's Game Boy. I didn't have a Game Boy. I played on my PS2, the PS2 version. Good old cheat codes. Did you ever get those books from like the library or whatever that were just video game cheat code books? Oh yeah, the sockets can crack. I'm glad there's lots of like good fan Bionicle content online, whether it's like people archiving the commercials or animations or just keeping the hobby alive, because Bionicle should not be forgotten. Brady strategy for old school PC games. Nice. So they had, it was like a strategy guide that had strategies for multiple games in it. Yeah, man, that the anime convention I went to this year for the Gunpla. Well, I didn't go just for the Gunpla competition, but that was like the main thing I did there. I bought a strategy guide for BioShock Infinite, just to like have the art. If the place would have had the art book for BioShock Infinite, you know, I would have bought that instead, but beggars can't be choosers. And yeah, it's ironic that I bought a book for a Western video game at an anime convention, but it's fine. It's all good nerdy stuff anyways. Most of the books I read cover to cover as a kid, other than, you know, like novels, were the only way to read it's cover to cover, were like the Warhammer codexes. You know, whether that's for fantasy or 40k. Oh, one game apiece. Yeah, BioShock Infinite, I mean, in hindsight, I get like people's criticisms of it, but yeah, I really enjoyed playing it. Then the ending bit was a real fun, wild ride, if I do say so. BioShock 1 was also very good, of course, can't forget that. I also get I get people's critiques of that one, but you know, I still think it's worth playing. I never played BioShock 2, you know. It's one of those games I have it in my Steam library, and I was like, oh, I should really play that one. Nah, I'll just play Total War Warhammer 3 again. I'm predictable that way. Although lately, Gundam Evolution has disrupted my Total War Warhammer playing habits. I haven't played Gundam Evolution in a couple days, though. I, like, unlocked a few cosmetics, got to level 20... then like lost a little bit of motivation to play. I like queued up for ranked a few times, but like I never had a ranked game actually happen yet. I heard some people are having connectivity issues. Good old Duke Nukem. I getcha. My main in Gundam Evolution? Oh yeah, I've been forgetting to check whether I missed any. Okay. My main in Gundam Evolution is usually the Zaku 2 range type. I haven't put any actual money into the game, so I don't have the melee type. Thanks for the insider tip there, Cyber Scorpio. Yeah, I'd say my main is the Zaku 2 range type, and then other ones I've like played a decent amount of are Barbatos. Probably my second most played. Maybe my most played is like a tie between Barbatos and the Zaku 2. But I've had more success with the Zaku 2. You know, you've probably like heard what they say about Barbatos. He gets memed on a lot because he has a really high skill ceiling. But when you do get good kills with Barbatos, it's so satisfying. I've also had a decent amount of luck with the healing transforming one, with the Malthus. The one that has the repair cable and turret. And also the Dom. Have had some good times with the Dom. That's it, mostly. Oh, of course it's P Bandai. It took me a lot of matches of just getting absolutely like wrecked to like before I got that actual hang of Barbatos. But like most of the video games I play are like turn-based strategy ones. So switching to like a really fast-paced game like Gundam Evolution is a lot, you know? Okay, let's add a bit more glaze medium to the palette. I'm gonna use up the paint that's on there, and then I think I can call the stream because I'm getting a little sore from all this painting. But you know, it's been a good session. And I got a decent amount of painting done earlier today too, so it's been a productive painting day. Oh, one last little burp there. I think that's burp 8 or 7. Okay, let's just see what tones we gotta work with here. Okay, just a little bit of each. I mean, between XCOM and Civilization, I'm more like Civilization, but really I just play, like, what's good about the Total War games is it's got a hybrid of both turn-based, like, grand campaign map strategy and real-time battles. So Total War is kind of like both at once. But like if I was picking between XCOM and Civ, I'd pick Civ. But I tend to like prefer games in fantasy and science fiction settings. I guess XCOM is like a science fiction setting, but I like the whole like building management aspects. And like researching technology and stuff, part of Civ. If you get me. Acid reflux gang. The gold trim was all stickers. Yeah, that's a little disappointing for P Bandai for sure. And I know like the phrase P Bandai, like premium Bandai, like the word premium doesn't translate well in this case because I think like for the Japanese market they see premium as like, oh, it's like limited edition exclusive, which is, you know, what P Bandai is, but like in English we associate premium with being more like luxury. So when we see a P Bandai kit that like has really egregious stickers, then it's like, why is this called premium? When it's premium just because it's like a limited item. You know, they're not gonna like a few select people will want it, but it won't be like something worth doing like a full proper retailer print of. That's my understanding of it anyways. And there's also the other aspect of like anyone who's not in Japan acquiring P Bandai can be kind of a pain. Just because it's like marked up. You know, if you're in Tokyo and you can go to the Gundam base to pick up your P Bandai, it's a lot more affordable that way. Horde or Alliance? If you go by the characters of played the most over the years when I did play WoW, it would be Alliance. I think at the end of... Oh, I tore up some paint there. At the end of the day, yeah, I'd have to pick Alliance, but I think the Horde's cool too. I think the characters I put the most time in were a Night Elf and a Draenei. I do like a Tauren, or I had a Tauren Shaman that was pretty neat though. You know what? I think I will give this hand a bit more of a highlight. Favorite class was probably the Druid, just because when I didn't want to have to wait for long queue times for instances, I could just be a tank. But then when I wanted to be a DPS, I could be a DPS. I feel like the most fun I had in World of Warcraft was during Cataclysm expansion. I never made it to like the end game content for Cataclysm. 'Cause Cataclysm was when I eventually like stopped. That's not quite the tone I want. Oh, that must be why you're called Kalinas the Necromancer. Now that I think of it. It's so hard to determine when the blending is done, you know? Gotta call it at some point, otherwise I will never stop. Never stop, never stopping. They're a paladin. I liked my, the Draenei I played was a paladin. I liked playing the paladin. I mean, it's fun playing a character that can have different roles, because then you don't get bored. That's what's fun about playing spellcasters, like clerics and stuff. If you're getting bored while someone else is taking a long time with their turn, you can just look at your really long spell list and see what neat things you can do. But remember, you always need to have the Revivify spell prepared. I don't know what the equivalent would be in Pathfinder, but you know, you gotta be able to resurrect your teammates in those clutch situations. Yeah, the top of that shoulder pad I was just painting is like getting there, but this one still needs a decent amount of TLC. Is your current Pathfinder 2 character like a fighter or a paladin? Paladins in D&D 5th edition or certain kinds of them can be very like burst damagey. I don't think, now that I think of it, I don't know if I've played a Paladin in 5th edition, actually. I played a Barbarian that was a fun melee character to play. But they only kind of had like one mode, and that was just like smash. Or chop with sword, you know. Classic Barbarian stuff. That sounds like a fun melee character to play. I mean, druids in D&D are kind of OP, depending on how you look at it. I can't remember which D&D YouTubers. It might have been the Dungeon Dudes that said druids are like their highest rated class in terms of power. I think druid is one of the more like, it's probably like the least beginner friendly class you could play. Well, heck, it's almost 3.5 hours. I did make it. Yeah, we're almost out of paint on the palette. As usual, when the paint runs out on the palette, I'll be wrapping up the stream, so if you have any last questions, super chats, or just general messages you want to get in, now's your chance. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if with the new like D&D 1 playtest they're doing, if they try and do anything to make druids and like clerics less intimidating. I know they're adding like they'll be adding suggested spell preparation lists for, you know, classes that have an overwhelming amount of spells. So, you know, like if you don't feel like trying to figure out which spells are the best ones to prepare, you can like have a lazy option if you want. This seems like a good thing to have. I'd find like it's the like wild shape rules for druids that get like that confuse people the most in my experience. Well, and you also have to like figure out with your dungeon master, it's like, okay, what animals would my character like have seen and be able to transform into? Because your character, like, you know, if your character's never seen a dolphin, they can't turn into a dolphin. I mean, I always opt for like making a more like janky creative character than like making the most optimized min-max character. I always prefer that. Barbarian druid, that would be a fun one. More like bear-barian. Oh, that was a bad pun. Okay. Let's just take a look at what we did. We worked on these shoulders, but you know, they're still got plenty of work to do. And we got this hand. I think I can call this done now. I mean, the green isn't done, but I'll be doing the green once the purple's completely done. And then we did all that work on the body, which is covered up from dust right now, or being protected from dust. Wildfire druid, yeah, that's a fun one. And 3 hours, 28 minutes, that's close enough to 3.5 hours, you know? So like I said at the beginning of the stream, there'll be at least one more Sazabi stream. It just depends on how long it's gonna take. I don't think I'm gonna, right now it doesn't seem like I'm gonna meet my self-imposed deadline of getting it like finished by Monday, but we'll see. Like, I've got stuff I have to do this weekend, but I still have some time to paint, so we'll see. There'll be at least one more stream for the Sazabi. I'll probably like finish most of the purple off stream and then do the green, or so the last stream will probably be a bit of the purple edge highlighting and then some of the green. Or maybe it'll be just green. But I think at this point it's safe to say you can get one more stream out of the Sazabi, but if you don't hear from me and I just post the pictures of the finished Sazabi one day, then maybe I'll just be rushing behind the scenes to finishing it. Because, you know, I can paint a little bit faster if it's not on stream, but it's not like a huge difference. But it's not like I'll stop streaming after this project is done. There'll always be stuff to stream. Pathfinder 2 Oracles got the short end of the stick, eh? Alright, thanks for coming by, Kalinas. Have a good one. Oh, so the pun was on point. Alright, well, thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate you checking out the stream, as always. And, yeah, just follow my social media to find out when the next stream is. It's gonna be tomorrow or Monday, maybe. Yeah. Other than that, it's a mystery. Bye-bye.